Hey YouTube, first of all, hello to all my returning subscribers. Thank you again for checking out this video. I appreciate it. And hello to any new viewers to my channel. Welcome. Today, I know it's kind of out of place, right, for me to be posting another video like back to back, but there's actually a subject I wanted to talk about, topic of a video that I watched. I guess it came out last night and I just found out about it this morning. So it's about a video. I'll post a link below of the Facebook page where you can check out the full video. It's actually a good watch and stuff to see and actually get it. It's about a minute and 30 seconds long. So it's about a Caucasian tech sergeant. She's in military uniform. She's part of the Air Force uniform and everything. She's actually gets on Facebook Live or some kind of social media live, and she just starts talking. She's like venting, telling her feelings and all that. But the worst part about it, she's venting about subjects that she shouldn't be talking about while in uniform or being part of the armed forces overall. She's just talking about her subordinates who are, these are her words and all that, who are black. So they're pretty much, she's an E6, and then she has subordinates which range from like staff sergeant, which are E5, and she's talking about airmen as well. So that can range from like E4 to E1, depending. And she's just talking about how they have attitude problems, how they're disrespectful. I guess the way they addressed her is like, no ma'am, with like kind of a tone, like attitude tone uh, applied into it. So she's just talking about like how she doesn't blow her lid. I'm guessing like she's not giving out paperwork, putting the hammer down, and all that, and how she's approaching them with, a respectful manner in her point of view, and why she's just questioning why are they giving her that kind of attitude. So she's really implying, just from what is watching the video, is that she feels that they're disrespectful and they have an attitude problem, and she's saying that it's only her black subordinates. So she's highly emphasizing that. So people are like, if you check out the comments, it's very leaning toward one way, which is right. It is wrong in the Air Force. People go, well, but there are people in the comment section, which is very surprising. Like, she's stating something that's true. It gets real subject. First of all, she is United States military. She's part of the United States Air Force. So, when you join the military, you give up that constitutional right of freedom of speech pretty much. You have to tread lightly because anything that you say, there are Air Force regulations on this, so don't be surprised. You have to be careful of how you address certain issues, because first of all, it's going to become from your military 24/7, and number two is that it's going to come off maybe in the point of view that the Air Force is sponsoring what you're saying. So when I made my older videos, I made sure that everything I say is my opinion and all that. So now that I'm outside of the military, I'm not saying I can just say everything I want. So I'm going to be tread very lightly what the military likes to say and how I address this. I think people get that wrong impression that military, honorable integrity and all that, that they're in this high esteem position and all that. But there are like, black eyes throughout the military history, and a lot of the issues never come into light. So people, I think, get that misconception, especially civilians who don't have that connection to the military, and how the military pushes that concept of zero tolerance of any kind of discrimination, sexual, of that, of those things, and they try to push that mindset that there is no kind of behavior accepted that, and that's absolutely true. They do push that, and that's something worthwhile, and I think that they're very advanced on making sure and try to make a work environment zero tolerance as possible. But they have to remember that no matter how much training you got, because one of my friends who used to be in the Army posted that, and he said, his comment, paraphrasing, that these kind of issues can be squashed out if you put the fear of God pretty much in there. If you break down these military members who are joining, and they'll integrate them together, I believe, like in a simpler way. But I think with this kind of post, it really shows you and puts insight into the military that people don't see. It's not the United States Air Force only. I bet you across all branches, there's always going to be some people who feel that way. It's just how they raised, that's how they taught, that kind of environment they've been put in. And just because you go join a new environment, like in the United States Air Force, you do pick up some, trade skills, and maybe you lessen on some point of views. But deep down inside, your inner person is still in there. No how much, you know, no matter how much training you get, no matter how many days you put that uniform on, it's always going to be, there's that, your true inside self is going to come out, and is always going to be inside of you and come out once in a while. This tech sergeant decided, hey, I'm just going to put it on Facebook Live. I'm just going to talk about it. And that's the real her. She can hide as much as she wants. And I'm not saying every military member is like that, but there are a handful of military members who maybe are racial. They just don't publicize it like she did. And the Air Force is trying to, I feel like, and all the branches of the military is move and get more diverse. And people are saying, well, she's only stating her opinion. And I think that's very hard to say, because when you join the military and you raise that oath, you're relying on your brothers and sisters. Like, they're military is like a big family. Those are your brothers and sisters. And to know that there's people inside the military who's going to base you on your race, your ethnicity, judge you on those different aspects, and not you as an individual and what you can bring and what kind of skills and traits you have, or how you can help them and better the Air Force. They're basing on your race, and it's very hard, especially when you go into a deployed or hostile environment and stuff like that, because these people are supposed to be watching your back. And it's very hard to go, well, how can I trust this person if they don't like me just because of who I am? Well, they don't know me. They don't know what I'm like. They don't know my personal story. They're gonna base and judge me on my race, my ethnicity, and that's really frightening, especially when you go into a deployed or hostile environment when these people are supposed to be having your back like you're six, and that is one of the biggest things and causes unraveling. And I think the other big issue is, like, these kind of issues are very swept, just like sexual assault and stuff like that. You find out years and years later about these big issues, and only the big ones are brought to light, but they have a constant thing occurrence. I don't think this is the only occurrence about racial, like, people have been judged by that and stuff. And in the Air Force, in general, the military, a lot of this is swept under the rug. It seems like that's just my point of view, and I'm not talking bad, because overall, like I said, the Air Force does a well job in training people, identifying these what we call red dots, and put in green dots. I feel like if military members address this issue and are not, there's no ramifications or consequences about these kind of things, that's the only things can be addressed. If people can't change, they keep that mindset of, hey, being racial and stuff is okay, then they don't have any place in the military. You can't have those people watching others people's back, and especially the ones who are expecting, like, they're not gonna watch them because of their race and stuff like that. They can't be in the military. Simple as that. You're putting people's lives in dangers. They need to be weeded out and, like, said, hey, if you can't change, you can't respect someone just because of what they are, then you can't. There's no place for you. Simple as that. And the way, only because it's up to those people to change. You can train them as much as you want. You can try to tell them that we're all equal. We each bring something to the table, but then it's their choice if they want to change and be accepting of others. And if they can't, you can't have them in that place. Simply put, you're putting other people's lives in dangers, and it's something that can be avoidable. So that's something that, like, these things that has to be addressed. If people catch, people joke around with each other and all that, but when people aren't joking around, when they what they're saying, and those feelings are fact, and that's how they really feel, and they really despise you, they dislike you, then those things need to be brought up without people facing consequences for doing that. Those kind of accusations should be taken seriously and brought up. And what she said is, most likely, the way she approaches her people, her subordinates, is in a disrespectful manner. Respect is a two-way mirror, in my point of view. Like, if you give respect, they will respect you as well. There are going to be a handful of people who just don't like you, and with certain aspects, and there's a great leader can figure out ways how to bridge that gap. And that's something I don't think she did. That's why she got on Facebook Live and decided to complain and vent, and she just didn't know how to handle the situation. She wasn't trained, and at the same time, those maybe are her deep, true feelings of how she feels about other ethnicities. And that's sad to see that she did that in the United States Air Force uniform, and she did it while people are dying for in that uniform and all that, which is shocking. But I think it's a good thing, because I saw another comment. Someone said, "Well, this should be swept under the rug. Don't repost this kind of video because it's gonna put, like, the squadron in bad way, the Air Force in bad way." It's maybe a good issue to be addressed. It's maybe something people need to talk about, and so people can see, wow, the Air Force is not immune to this stuff. That what happens in the civilian world, like these big issues, are happening in the Air Force as well. I think the mindset is in the Air Force, people think of highly of it. It's a moral high obligation and all that. They have integrity. They have service before self, excellence in all they do. But they have to remember that the Air Force is just people like you and them. As take off the uniform and all that, and past that, they're still human. They still make mistakes. They say things, and there are still people in there that don't respect others, no matter what they do. So keep that in mind. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed. And this kind of issues, yes, it's a black eye to the Air Force, but it's a good learning opportunity. Simple as that. And I think with the Air Force, it's a constant learning opportunity. If you guys can talk about constant matters that are happening through issues, this is a big issue that's happening in our society as well. And the Air Force is not immune to it. Simple as that. I'm not saying not everyone in the society is a racist. Not everyone in the United States Air Force is a racist. But you do have a handful of people. So guys, I hope you got something out of that video. I'll definitely post it in the description of the video that you can look up, make the judgment yourself. Just be wary of the comments. There's, it's wild on that comment section right now. To all my military members right now, that doesn't matter the branch. Remember, you guys raise your hand, you swore oath, respect each other. Simple as that. Even sometimes you might not get the respect in return or reciprocated. Be the bigger person and respect those, because those people can be watching your back one day, and you want to treat them just as well as they should be treating you. All right. But biggest thing, God bless, and hopefully these issues will be brought up. People will get trained on them, and it's a topic that can be discussed. Leadership hopefully will address it, and you guys get taken care out there and watched over. God bless.